What? Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for another edition of the Yorns 10-minute take on Watford 2, Southampton 2, a game that started out not so great for Watford, or they weren't terrible in the first half of the game. Turned out to be a real entertaining affair in the second half. Watford stood their ground against a dogged Southampton side who were always going to be tricky for us. Look, we've not beaten the Saints at the Vic since September of 2007. 18 full years. I mean, September's around the corner. 18 years since we beat Southampton at the Vic. That's what we were up against today, and I thought that considering everything, Watford really did put up a good fight. First half, yeah, Watford had a few moments, few and far between. Yes, we had some attacks on Southampton's goal, but the link-up play wasn't quite there. That final pass, not quite there for Luca to put home. And there were some good balls that went across from Bola, from Ngakia, but really, no real troubling of the goalkeeper for all of the efforts that Watford at least had, and there were only a few of them. Nothing troubling Bazunu in the Southampton goal in that first half. In fact, we had no shots on target. Naught. Zero. Zilch. None. No shots on target in that first half. And you could feel the frustration of our supporters at the Vic in that first half against a Southampton side who weren't exactly great either, I thought, but certainly did more, better and more efficiently than we did in the first half. And it was their pressure off of a set piece, which they're very good and very dangerous at, which gave them their breakthrough goal against the run of play in the 10th minute of the game. Another early goal, or a goal early in a half or late in a half, conceded by the Golden Boys. And it was Cameron Archer, the danger man for Southampton, who gives so many problems to so many teams, and did so in the week in a Carabao Cup game against the team we lost to, Norwich. Came up again, blasted the ball home from very close range. Nothing Selvik could have done about it. The defence all stood around like statues, and Southampton were 1-0 up. And so that was that. And then Southampton, you can see, began to take control of the game. Their tempo was better, their methods were better, their tactics were better. They were able to hold on to the ball, keep the ball on the ground, give Watford's midfield a number of problems, and continuously capitalize off of Watford giveaways in the middle of the park and in the final third of our pitch that would keep Southampton on top in the possession and also on top on shots on target. And they gave Egil Selvik a lot to deal with in the first half. Selvik made some outstanding saves, as he always does, to keep us in the game at 0-1. Watford didn't really do much else in that first half at all overall, and it was clear that Southampton had got the lion's share of that first half absolutely spot on correct. But Watford, as we have done so many times already in this young season, were not to be denied. And it was the subs of the manager, the new gaffer, Paolo Pezzolano, that continue to be good ones, timely ones. And as I've said for a number of weeks now, it's the timing of the subs, even more so than the personnel that you're putting on the pitch, that really matters. Now, obviously, we'd love to have the sub that we really want to impact the game, but it's the timing in which a manager subs that really makes a difference. You have to get a look at the temperature of the game, the flow of the game, the tempo of the game, the ideas, the structure. You can see what's going on with your players. And I think Watford needed a little bit of an energy boost in that second half to start with, because they came out and the body language to me wasn't as sharp, wasn't as intent. And then when Barr and Vata came on the pitch together after 57 minutes, you could see what was happening. The electricity began to flow, the light bill had been paid, and of course, the results were dividends for Watford in the 65th minute. And Quadro Barr scored a goal that he scored before against Norwich in the Carabao Cup just a few weeks ago. When he was subbed on in the second half in that contest, Watford were 2-0 down in that game. And literally, 62nd minute sub against Norwich and a 68th minute goal. Just 6 minutes later, from that left-hand side, attacking the Norwich goal in front of the rookery, a hard and low drive, bang. And that's what brought Watford back into that game against Norwich, despite eventually losing the game. Same thing today, off that left side, Barr drilled the ball, first shot, first time, low and hard, back of the net, coming on in the 57th minute, scoring in the 65th minute. And so within 8 minutes of this game and 6 minutes of the game against Norwich, Barr makes an impact off the bench. Rocco Vata also was very good off the bench today. Brought on, as I said, with Barr, made instant impact down that right channel, stretched the pitch, gave a lot more width, gave us a lot more length, and also gave us a lot more space, which we really punished Southampton for because there were acres of space that were being left by Southampton players in the midfield and at the back. Watford were able to exploit that to their advantage and get those two critical goals. I said two critical goals because we needed to get a second goal after Southampton went back in front thanks to another poor defensive mistake that we made in the game. And that was from James Banquo, who did not have one of his best games today, despite the fact that we were able to get out of trouble. Goal that was a goal from a really good set piece, a free kick that Watford really should not have given away a bank or pulled down a player as Southampton were on the break in that second half, looking very, very dangerous. And then one of the players that would have probably got the ball back to shape up to shoot the ball into the back of the net was pulled down just outside the D, just outside the 18-yard box in the D. Referee wasted no time pointing to just outside the D where the foul occurred. Poor stuff from a bank where you should not be pulling the player down in that situation. You have to get your body in between your player and the ball. And Banquo did not do that because he was out of position and the player was in front of him. So he had no choice, I guess, but to pull him down just outside the box. Free kick, very close. Didn't think that they were going to have a chance to score that free kick, but it was well drilled right through into the back of the net past Selvik. He could do nothing to stop it. It was 2-1 Southampton there in the 77th minute. But literally 4 minutes later, just about 4 minutes later, Nestory Irankunda did what he did last week at Swansea with a blimey, bloody good, sublime free kick. It was, again, an action replay, a Groundhog Day, if you will, of what happened at Swansea just last week when, of course, 7 days ago, he did the same thing. Marvelous free kick. 7 days later, marvelous free kick, almost in exactly the same place. Sublime stuff. 25 plus yards out, I think it was. Nearly in the same position, but not quite as far in the same position as the Swansea kick was, to the best of my memory. But both kicks yielded the exact same result. And thankfully for us, it gave us a point. In both games, we got a point. Nestory Irankunda, his second consecutive goal from a second consecutive free kick of the season. Really, really good stuff from him. He is a player who is priceless for us. As I've said for a lot of time here since he's come here, the 19-year-old on a 5-year deal. He does not overdo it. He stays within himself. He makes the pass he needs to make. He makes the play he needs to make. And he does it all and makes it look very easy, although, of course, he works very, very hard every day, does Nestory, to do what he's doing. And then the celebration that came with the sublime goal to equalize at 2-2 was sublime. A lovely backflip and somersault, which you also saw from Quadro Barr doing it almost at the same time in the celebrations in front of the Rookery. A rapturous moment for Watford supporters across the world and at the Rookery, obviously, and then for the team as Irankunda, absolute gold, getting his call up to Australian national team. And congratulations to him on that. And congratulations on another excellent goal from Nesty to make it 2-2. Watford from there had the upper hand. They were the team looking more likely to take the lead and win the game at the end, although Southampton continued to push. It was a game that was very open in the second half at 2-2. Southampton had made a lot of mistakes in that second half, and it's really thanks to the way that Petso has subbed. Timely substitutions and pressure being put on the ball. Southampton giving away the ball because of our pressure in all kinds of spaces. They were the ones turning the ball over in midfield. They were the ones turning the ball over in their third of the pitch, their last third of the pitch. They were the ones making mistakes, poor passes. They were the ones doing the kinds of things that we were doing in the first half because Pezzo made the adjustments. He put on subs in a timely manner, subs that were galvanizing forces who stretched the pitch, made the pitch wider, exploited gaps and holes in what Southampton were doing. And we really began to get the upper hand and turn the tables on Southampton and score those two priceless goals. But the biggest thing of this day was character for us. The Watford last day imbued character, resilience, commitment, and passion in that second half. It was the kind of thing that you saw in the first half of the game against Swansea, in the first half of the game against QPR, and in the second half of the game against Norwich that we would end up losing. But Watford have definitely, in these first four games of this season, prior now to this international break that's coming up, have done well. And some people can still be heard chanting at the Vic, Tom Cleverley, ole, ole. Well, Tom Cleverley's no longer here. And, I feel like saying Tom Cleverley's no longer here. I mean, I, like you, were absolutely upset and furious with the owner for getting rid of Tom Cleverley. Should never have gone from here. But we've said that forever about Tom Cleverley, about Rob Edwards, about name your next sacked manager here. Insert that name here, right? We've said that forever. But Tom Cleverley was sacked 3+ months ago. I think it's time for us to get a move on in terms of Clevs. He'll always have a special place in our hearts as Watford supporters. But to be chanting still, as we approach September, Tom Cleverley's name, he is managing in League One with Plymouth Argyle, who got tonked 4-0 today. No reason to be chanting his name. It's a disrespect to the present manager, who I think has done a good job here. Would we like to have more than 5 points on the board at this point? Yes. But for my money, Pezzo's team is playing better football at this 4-game stage for these first 4 games, despite the loss at Charlton, than they played in the first 5 games where they won all 5 of them with Cleverley last season at the same time period. And that gives me a lot more encouragement, hope, and positivity, because I think that this team's going to get much better than what it is. They're going to keep working on things. And the fact that they've now gone 3 unbeaten should not be overlooked. 5 points, yeah. But it's 3 unbeaten. 3 on the spin unbeaten. For a brand new manager who's never managed in England before. A brand new manager who's also dealing with 11 new players who've come in during the summer transfer window, which ends on Monday. We'll probably get at least 2 more in by then. Players, half of whom in the starting 11 are brand new faces. For him to get what he's getting out of them, even with mistakes being made, because there's always going to be mistakes, even with certain things that you might not like, because there's always going to be that, is nothing short of a very good job so far. I'm not overplaying my hand when I say that. He's done a very good job so far. The tactics have been spot on. The subs and the timing of the subs have been spot on. Plus, he's getting the most out of the team, and they're still developing and working together and working with each other. And as I've said, the concerns about fitness, I think, would dissipate now after this contest, because as I said, it usually takes 4 or 5 games before you start to see a team come to grips with the speed and the conditioning of the championship in a high-stress game. Some complaints about that against Swansea, and I said I felt it was much more about the pressing and trapping they did throughout the first half, which is impossible to keep for 95 minutes. But I also said it was because of the way that it takes literally for any player about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 games to get up to speed. You saw no sign today of any issue with fitness on that pitch. Yes, the Watford, you could see that the body language was a bit different to start the second half, but there was no issue of fitness or sagging or lagging or anything like that. They are now up to speed with these games. That's my view. And certainly now, with the international break here, they're going to get many of them to play for their home nation, and they're going to be playing games. So they're going to be match fit, match sharp. They're going to be conditioned well, and all the rest of it. So for me, there's a lot of upside still to come from this team. I think the owner has done a decent job, very, very good job with this summer window. And there's more to come. Luca Nani's talked about it. There's more to come. Ryan Andrews will be leaving, and there'll be others leaving. I think Jack Greaves, who's currently injured, will probably go out on loan at some point. And I think you'll see 1 or 2 others go on loan. I don't know if Dumby is going to go on loan or not, or Semedo, whichever one of them. I don't know if either of them will go on loan, but I have a feeling perhaps one of them might. But look, there's going to be some changes and adjustments. Loser did not play this game. He's serving the second game of the three-match ban. And one other thing to point out, the manager, Pezzo, getting into a scrap at the end of the game after the final whistle with 10 Southampton coaching staff and some players on the bench in the middle of the pitch or near the pitch, on the pitch. It's just absolutely crazy. There's Pezzo standing there, and there's 10, it seemed, 10 blues tracksuited Southampton personnel. Adam Lallana amongst them, having a go at Pezzo. Something was going on with that. Pezzo got a yellow card in the game. 2 weeks ago against QPR, we had one of Pezzo's assistants get, I think, 2 yellow cards that he's serving a match, 2 match or 1 2 match ban, whatever it is. Losers serving a 3 match ban. We've got to get the discipline right. We've got to get the discipline right. We've got to calm things down and take it easy. And the manager's got to set that tone for the players. Not a good look for him to get yellow cards. I know Clev's got a yellow card last season as well, and I think he had a touchline ban as well at one point. The bottom line is that discipline has to be there for everybody, and the bottom line also is that Watford did a good job today. The resilience was there, the passion, the character, and that's what you want from your lads. We were down twice in the game, and the second time we were down, there was about 13, 14 minutes left. That's a really good comeback just 3 minutes or so, 4 minutes or so later, with a free kick to match and to exceed what Southampton did. It's a very good character building point against a Southampton side that we never beat at the Vic. I mean, this is a really good day for Watford, despite not winning the game. Of course, the Orns man of the match, of course, even in a game that was a draw, undoubtedly is Nestory Irankunda, whose shirt I'm giving away. Home shirt with his name on the back of it is going to be given away by yours truly. But in order for you to have a chance to win that shirt, you must subscribe to youornswfc, the number one, .substack.com. I'm going to put that link in the description for this video. So please, if you want to have a chance to win Nestory Irankunda's shirt, his home shirt, a replica, not the one he wore today, then please subscribe. You must subscribe to YouOrns on Substack. YouOrns, WFC, the number one, .substack.com. And the shirt will be given away. The winner will be announced, I should say, on September the 27th. This has been the YouOrns 10-minute take.